Photographers who shoot on film always brag about having more artistic control, but there are tons of artistic techniques you can do on your DSLR or mirrorless camera, like a double exposure. What's a double exposure, you ask? A double exposure is a combination of two images where one laid on top of the other but with less opacity. Many cameras have a user-friendly double exposure or multiple exposure function, but when they don't, you can just create this in Photoshop. Today, I'll be showing you how to create an in-camera double exposure, but if your camera doesn't have this function, I'll also be showing you how to do this in Photoshop. I'll be using the Sony a6000, which I've added the multiple exposure function through the Play Memories app. It's important that you do a little bit of research on your camera's capabilities. You may need to add a plugin like I did with the Sony a6000. Okay, let's head outside. One of the most fun ways to create a double exposure is with a model and nature. I plan to use Casey here with some flowers and trees. Before you even start, plan and envision what your two images are going to be. I plan to use Casey's face silhouetted with flowers and overlaid with the trees and the nature around us. You don't want to overlay two busy images, so when posing your subject, place them in front of a solid background, like the sky. Now, if your camera doesn't have a double exposure option, Photoshop is always here to save us. I took a couple individual photos of my model and flowers, and we'll throw them in Photoshop. Load your files into a stack. Turn the visibility off the flower. Select your model image and do a quick selection around the face and hair. Don't worry about making it perfect. Right-click to feather at 0.5. Desaturate it by clicking Command-Shift-U. While it's still selected, click Command-J and it will create a new layer with your selection isolated. Delete the old layer. Turn your flower layer back on and lower the opacity to 50%. That way, you can see your model layer and position the flower exactly how you want it. Once you're happy with it, bring the opacity back to 100%. Select your model layer and Command-click on the layer box to select it. With it still selected, click on your flower layer and create a layer mask. You should now see the model silhouetted in your flower. Create a solid color adjustment layer using the adjustment tool in your layers panel and name it background and label your other layers. Make a copy of your model layer by holding down Option and place it on top of your flower layer. Change the blending mode to lighten. Now you can see both the model features and the flower. Lower the opacity of your model copy to 50%. Give your model copy a layer mask and click the brush tool. If you saw the Clone Yourself video, then you already know what we're about to do. Begin brushing on the areas that you want more flower to show up rather than features. So I'll brush over her hair and her neck. But don't worry if you make a mistake, we'll be fixing that soon. Do the same on the flower layer mask and brush on where you'd like more features to come in. Use a hardness of about 30% so the erasing isn't so harsh. Make a copy of the flower layer and remove the mask. Change the blending mode to lighten. Give your new flower a black layer mask by clicking Option while choosing the mask icon. Change your background color to either match your overlay or something dark like I do. Click on the black layer mask and grab a white brush tool and start brushing what you want to appear around the perimeter of your model. Create a stamp visible layer by clicking Option Command-Shift-E. Desaturate it and change the blending mode to soft light and a 30% opacity. And that's basically it. Save your result and there you go. I love creating double exposures, whether in camera or in Photoshop. It allows me to be as creative as I want to be. Tag us in all of your double exposure photos and art. And let us know if you'd like to see more videos like these in the comments below. I'm Maria, and thanks for watching.